I am Michael Donahue, and I am here with...
I am Matt Van Tyne, the producer, director, and co-editor of Jackal. Rich Van Tyne, writer and producer of Jackal.
Jackal screened at Shriekfest this year, and we're just discuss their film and random film geekery as well.
Sounds good.
Cool.
Sounds great to me. Let's do it.
All right. Thanks for contacting and everything. I appreciate it. I tend to be more reactionary than I should be for someone who wants to do like interviews and stuff like that. So.
Okay. Yeah, because we talked to you like very briefly on the carpet, and
right.
Then came up to me after the screening. So and there goes my dog. And I appreciate that you enjoyed Jackal.
Yeah, no, man. I really dug it. Like I dug the tone, the pace. I really dug the color palette. So I tend to take mad notes when I feel like I might be talking about stuff. I wrote down a couple specifics about places that I really dug the score too. Building up to Lance's death, building up to the wife's death. When the dude repeats, like, you know that we don't lock doors in here, just the score.
Yeah,
I really dug all of that.
That was actually we did that in ADR.
Okay.
As just like a callback. Yeah, we're like, you know what would be kind of cool is if he called back to Lance, and it's kind of like he's almost transformed into him. So we just kind of we had the actors spitfire some lines. And yeah, that one came out of it. It was really cool. It's a nice touch. And the score was, we had a buddy of ours in Boston who did the score. He basically came up with themes for each character and kind of rounded it that way, and how it changed as the characters changed and as the tone kind of increased. So it's very intricate thought in the music. Yeah, that was. And to also increase the pace of the film, even though it's 23 minutes. Watched it without music and it kind of drags. You put in the music in, and then all of a sudden, this actually moves a little bit faster.
But yeah, no, music can make or break something, man, for sure.
Yeah, it's so true, because a lot of times these movies will try and put in music to make you feel things, as opposed to like you actually feeling it for characters and like how the story's going. They're like, well, they're supposed to feel sad here, let's put some undertones, and you're just it's kind of that cheap way of getting an emotional response. Yeah, rather than just like putting it underneath to just enhance the feeling we already have.
Absolutely.
That's what we to do. Yeah. With it. So we went through a bunch of different music trial and errors and like so many different iterations. Yeah. Because that was one thing that we wanted to get really, really good. Because we got some notes from our mixer who was like, I think some music here and there might actually help you in the long run. So, and that just kind of elongated the process a little bit more, but it was worth it at the end.
Yeah, I mean, given what we all saw and what I just watched again, like I have to agree. Like, if it had been dry, it wouldn't have been like bad, but it would have been a different experience. I'm not even saying it would have been worse. It just would have been, I don't know, like I like the tension of the music. I like the build of the music, and without it would have been a different feeling. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I can tell you, it definitely is worse without it. It's kind of like, oh, okay. Yeah, I know my girlfriend saw like an iteration of it with the music like six months ago, and then I didn't show it to her until we went into the theater at Shriekfest, and she was just like, it is so much better with the music. You don't feel like it's 23 minutes. You're just in it, and then the music, each time the music hits, you're just like, it just sinks you further into it. I mean, because I know probably for Rich as well, we've seen it 1,000 times. Right.
We're sitting in the movie theater, and I'm like, does this feel long? My girlfriend's like, no. I'm like, okay, good, because you know everything that's coming. 1,000 times I've seen it, edited it, and all that stuff. So it's good to know that it gets a good reaction.
Most definitely, man.
At the end, it's always good. Yeah. So reaction was my biggest fear, because I knew the twist before it even got filmed. So I'm just like, are people gonna be like, oh, that was dumb, or like, oh, cool? And that was like kind of the one thing that we were really harping on hard with the actor, as well as just being like, if this doesn't work, this whole film doesn't work. Like, yes, it still will be creepy, and it still will be a film, but like, if somebody's like, I knew this was coming as soon as picture started, you're like, well, great. Kind of screwed. So, and we also didn't want it to be one of those M. Night Shyamalan type twists where it's like, well, that's just too much. Yeah, that's stupid. So.
Understood. Yeah.
Village.
Well, it was one of those like given the title and then like definitely given this the speech at the dinner table is well something's going on, but it wasn't like oh my god my brain's on the floor behind me, but it was like all right cool I dig with the twist
yeah exactly, and that's kind of what we were going for. And then it's like when you get a second viewing, you kind of start looking at his mannerisms and like how he reacts to things, and it kind of changes your perspective. He's got the pills in his hand, debating when he's going to give it to her, or even when he just kind of looks in when she's changing, it's kind of this like now like a second viewing, it's this like him fighting against himself.
Right.
Like kind of do something about it. I suppose like his fear is not the fear of the two couple being creepy and possibly murdering them, but his fear is his plan did not go well, and his fear is to be caught by not just them, but by Katie. Yeah. So, and the whole Jackal like dinner sequence is, it kind of just says the theme of the movie while giving you Lance's character on how he just doesn't trust anybody. He pretty much points out that something's up with Adam. I think somebody said at the end that they were like, you know what, like Adam is the Jackal, but it could be other people that are the Jackal, and I was like, cool, think that way. Something that we kind of found out once really completing most of the film, like almost being done, is like you kind of think to yourself that like even if it wasn't intended, it's like each person in their own right is a Jackal, and is kind of all their actions and mannerisms are. So what am I looking for? It's like they're just making the outcome worse. Like even just Grace not saying anything.
Right.
She becomes a Jackal in her own right, where she doesn't communicate anything to Katie. She doesn't just like get up on the table and be like, "This guy's a bad guy."
Right. Yeah.
Right, and she dies. And even like this all has to do with Katie, and so whether or not she has control over it, she becomes a Jackal because of her, everybody's dead. So
okay, yeah, there it is.
Somebody mentioned that, I don't remember who. Yeah, I don't remember. And I was just like, wow, yeah, that actually really works, and it wasn't the initial intention, but
It's always nice when somebody can point something out that you didn't know was there, and you're the one that did it.
Yeah, it happens all the time. Yeah, as long as it's a good thing.
Well, yeah. As long as it's a thing that tracks and makes sense,
There you go.
You want to go like, why did the camera pan? Like, shut up, you.
Yeah, because it didn't tilt. Okay.
When Katie goes for the wife's rifle and the camera moves a little bit with it, I was like, oh, that's dope. Yeah. Like, I didn't notice that the first time. Was that like a super purposeful choice, or?
I think that was, kind of. I mean, the cinematographer, like, I worked with him before, so he kind of tries different things. So I believe that one, he was like, oh, I'm going to try this. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's fantastic, let's do that. So there's definitely, like, I love to give a lot of, like, not necessarily free range, but enough, creativity to freedom. There we go, creative freedom.
There it is.
To all of, to everybody, because that's what they do. They're all experts in their own field, so why handicap them?
Yeah, I mean, if you're not collaborating with the crew, like you're tyrannical, and there's something to be said for people who are tyrannical, but at the same time, like. They don't get a lot of repeat business. Like, you want to build a family. You don't want to build an antagonistic relationship with your working crew. So. Yeah, and our crew was awesome. It was a 4-day shoot that we did in 3. Okay, cool.
3 days of like 14-hour days, and everyone was. We had like 0 problems. One light blew out. That was the biggest problem. It was nice because everybody was sad to leave, even though we were in a cabin in the freezing cold, and there were shoots that were outside. Yeah, they were all good sports about it. So it was a lot of fun.
Right on, man. Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
So like, what are some films that really like inspired you guys? Because just like one of the things, like I said, like I really dug was that little camera move, and it's things like that interest me sometimes. Because like I think it's the first Dirty Harry movie where like a cop pulls up to maybe it's the second one. Where like a cop pulls up behind somebody, and like it's clear that the camera's mounted on the motorcycle that he's driving, and so when he puts the kickstand and parks it, like the whole shot does like that, and like it's interesting things like that to me. What kind of stuff got you guys going?
I'm thinking that might have actually, with the tilt, that might have actually been a mistake.
Okay.
Now I'm thinking about it. I think it was like, because I was thinking about something else. It wasn't on like any type of tripod or hi-hat or anything, because we were just kind of like running and gunning. And I think she went for it, and she may have either tapped the cinematographer or something, and the camera just fell.
Okay.
And during editing, we saw it, and I was like, let's keep that.
That's dope. Yeah. Happy accidents.
It doesn't necessarily look like a camera mistake, but I think that actually sparked something when you said that was actually that. Well, as far as it's movies that inspire, well, I know definitely a lot of the Lance stuff. The dinner table scene was like 10 Cloverfield Lane inspired.
I love that movie. That movie was so cool.
I watched that sequence because I had started writing this around. It's actually probably around the time that movie came out, and I was like, "Fuck, I have the same type of sequence in here." And I was like, "Well, you know what? Let me watch this and see how they do."
What your thought?
Yeah, it's not necessarily stealing. Yeah. Well, I mean, we really like, as far as like what I like in terms of just kind of shot composition and all that, all the cinematography and feeling and everything. I'm very influenced by James Wan films.
Okay.
You know, obviously this isn't a paranormal film. The elements of just like the slow moving camera, especially on like the peephole, were just slowly creeping in. Wow, you just hear his voice. A lot of that. That's what I like about James Wan. If you watch The Conjuring or Insidious, is that he'll put a camera on a dark corner and just push in really slow, and you're just like, oh, God, what's gonna happen? And it doesn't do anything, you know? Or just the door shuts, and you're like, ah! So, I guess, for me, my favorite movie of all time is Seven.
Okay. All right. Yeah, no, it's hard not to appreciate that movie.
Yeah. I mean, every time I tell people that, they're like, oh, you know, they take a step back from me. I'm like, take it easy. It's a good movie, all right?
No, I got you.
Not going to kill you. Movies like that, or a lot of Fincher movies where they're just, you know, kind of dark and ominous, and, you know, the endings to these movies aren't happy endings. Not necessarily always sad endings, sometimes hopeful, but open-ended. Yeah, it's kind of open-ended and just, you know, leaves you with, holy shit, like, I just went on this crazy thrill ride with like these crazy characters that, you know, it's like in Seven, it's at the end he ends up, you know, shooting him dead, his wife is dead, and all this stuff, and it's like, Jesus Christ, like.
No, I totally get you with the darker stuff. Like whenever Robin Williams comes up, I'm like, without hesitation, my favorite Robin Williams movie is Death to Smoochie. Like,
that's a good one.
Hands down. And people are either like, what's that? Or really? And I'm like, it's so wonderfully dark.
My girlfriend wants me to write like a rom-com, and I'm like, I don't even know how to do that. Somehow it's going to involve death and darkness. Yeah, someone's going to die.
It's gotta be murder. Did you ever see Solo? Do you know what I'm talking about? Solo, or the 120 Days of Sodom? Pasolini film?
No.
Oh, it's based on a book by the Marquis de Sade, and it's just, again, intensely wrong. And it's one of those, like, it's on the Criterion Collection, and some people will argue you to the death that it doesn't belong on the Criterion Collection or legally available in America at all.
Let me tell you that I believe it's like Armageddon is on the Criterion.
Oh, it is. Yes, I own the Armageddon Criterion Collection just to prove to people that it exists.
Yeah, I liked Armageddon when I was younger. I watched it now, and I'm like, oh, okay, you know. It's entertaining.
It holds a special place in my heart too, sir.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay, but see, this was always my argument for it. When that DVD came out, DVD was new. Criterion was known for their crazy laser discs, and they needed to show off the format. And also, whether or not you appreciate the contemporary Michael Bay action blockbuster, it started with Armageddon and The Rock, which are both have Criterion releases.
Love The Rock, I'll tell you that. Yeah, I love The Rock.
Say again?
The Rock, I love that.
Oh yeah, no, it's an amazing movie. But it was like, so it made sense to me that they both wound up there, in as much as the Criterion Collection is about preserving the history of film.
There's some like confusing selections. Yeah. Like for so you enjoy Shriekfest?
It was amazing, right?
Screenings?
I went to all of them.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Like, all of them. I was impressed with my ability to not fall asleep at one point. You know what I mean? Like I was like, I am engaged in all of this and fresh somehow. It was
all weekend, right?
Yeah. I wake up Friday morning and I'm like, if I don't see Venom, some nerd is gonna ruin it for me. And so I went and I saw Venom.
Nice.
And then Shriekfest, there were 3 movies Friday night, and then Saturday was 2 blocks of shorts and 4 films, and then Sunday was 2 blocks of shorts, 3 films, and the awards. Yeah, and I did all that. And I took mad notes. And yeah, like I don't know, man. Like I dig the art of cinema like so much that it's hard for me not to get all smiles and giggles when I get the chance to like geek out about it. You know what I mean?
I wish we had more time to do more of that. We actually had another short in a different film festival that weekend.
Oh really? Okay.
Saturday, yeah, it was the Glendale Film Festival. Totally different genre. It was a drama that we shot it while we were funding Jackal. We were just bored. We're like, well, let's like do something while we're getting the money together in pre-production for Jackal, and we just shot it in a night. Now that's it at some film festivals. It's totally different. Yeah, so it's a sad drama. Yeah, I was able to go to the awards, and I thought that was pretty cool. I think I stayed after till like 1 or like.
I wanted to stay till 1, but I didn't want to be rude to my friends, so we took off like at midnight. Yeah.
Well, I didn't even know what time it was. Like, I didn't know it was gonna be like a whole like, hey, stay after, and here's the rest of the
alcohol. Yeah.
Alcohol that it was free. They're like, hey, take it. Shit. And then all of a sudden, me and my buddy were just chatting away, and I was like, oh, we got to chat with the executive producer of Latched for a while. I really dug that one.
Yeah. Man, there was a lot of guys. Did you guys see Karate?
No. We really only got a chance to see what was in that short block that we were in. Yeah.
Because there was some good stuff.
There was
Sock Monster was dope. It was short and dope.
Sock Monster. Yeah. Sock Monster.
Well, because like the guy who played the monster was the guy who played Jason in the reboot.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
And then the guy who produced it is the guy that wrote and directed Saw 2, 3, and 4. And actually, one of my favorite movies, Repo the Genetic Opera.
I've never seen that. I haven't seen that.
That is a mistake. Let me tell you why. I mean, I could go on for a really, really long time, but the short version is I volunteered at Comic-Con 1 year, and then I worked it 2 years. The year I volunteered, half of my day I was allowed to go do the con as I saw fit. Yeah. And knowing that I wouldn't be able to do anything AAA, I picked stuff that looked interesting. And I saw a panel that said it had Bill Moseley, and I was like, Bill, I'm there. And Chop Top, fucking right, House of Thousand Corpses, I'm there. And I was like, Paris Hilton, Bill Moseley, I'm there. And I was treated to this really bizarre sort of like presentation. And then it came out on my birthday that year, and my ex took me to go see it in the theater, and I was like, this is glorious. This is every bit as awesome as I wanted to be and better. And then they started almost immediately doing midnight shows of it with shadowcasts like Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Nice.
And I started going to those. And I started doing some video work for one of the shadowcasts. So I've seen this movie 10, 11 times in a theater.
Wow.
And once in a graveyard. I'm never doing that shit again. I love that movie, but I do not do well in graveyards. But are you familiar with it at all? Yeah. And like the music is insanely wonderful. Like I'm a big Slipknot fan going way back, and like Clown has a lot to do with the music, and then Ogre from Skinny Puppy's in it had a lot to do with the music, and I don't know. Anyway, I'm sorry.
I'll have to put that on my list of movies to see.
You guys have seen Trick or Treat, right?
Do we trick or treat?
No, have you seen Trick or Treat? You've seen Trick or Treat.
I was like, I have seen it. I watched it when it first came out like years ago, and I'm like, what the fuck is this movie, and why is it like awesome? Because it's just kind of like. It almost feels like an anthology of different stories that end up sort of blending together.
For sure.
I haven't seen it in a long time.
No, my total description of it to people who haven't seen it, I'm like, it's like take 4 amazing episodes of Tales from the Crypt and cut it together like Pulp Fiction. No, I actually, like, when they were trying to put it out in theaters, I got to be on I got to go to a pre-screen of it, and I wound up on the Focus panel. And I go way back with that movie. Like, I love it. I love it to death. And that's why I was stoked. I got to go to Halloween Horror Nights for the first time this year, and they have a trick or treat maze. Good times. Did you want to talk about your drama a little bit, or?
It's called A Side of Fries, and it is about this young man who's waiting for the hospital cafeteria to open after his girlfriend tragically died, and it basically is it's like him. You know how people do the weirdest things during traumatic experiences or getting like traumatic news, like you're told you had cancer or like somebody died. The best example is Breaking Bad, when he's told that he has cancer, and all he can do is just look at the mustard stain on the guy's, it's on his mouth or on his shirt, I don't remember. So it's kind of like that, his girlfriend died, and all he think about is that he wants a grilled cheese sandwich at the cafeteria. And it's basically a 10-minute short. He meets this girl, a patient at the hospital, and they kind of discuss like the whole idea of what love actually is, because he didn't actually love his girlfriend. He was actually going to break up with her and found her collapsed on the floor and she died. Yeah. So it's kind of him going through guilt of that.
That's intense, dude.
It's called A Side of Fries because the other patient that he meets is waiting because she loves the fries there.
Yeah.
So it's almost like her is his side of fries to help cope.
Yeah. And
with the grilled cheese.
It's kind of like a dramedy. There's more drama than comedy. There's like a few laughs in there.
Okay.
But no scares, no thrills.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's
no hammers to the head.
Mm-hmm. It was I free wrote it because I was in the middle of breaking up with my ex, and like she we would end conversations and she's like, I love you, and I'm like, I don't really love you, and it's kind of my way to cope through that, of like wondering, like, I said it and she said it, but I didn't mean it, and just kind of like trying to understand it, and I just free wrote it, sent it to him, and he's like, let's shoot it, it'll take us 5 seconds. Yeah, so we did.
So I mean, clearly it didn't take you 5 seconds. Would you shoot it in a day, 2 days? I mean, what'd you do?
We shot it overnight.
Overnight? Okay.
At the LMU campus. Yeah, 2 actors, 1 location, bare bones crew,
and we just happened to know somebody who we were going to use, like, DSLR and whatnot to shoot it, and we just happened to know somebody who had a camera package and everything that they weren't using that night because they were using it during the day. They were going to use it the next day, and we were just like, hey, can we grab that from you for our night shoot, and then we'll just put it back to where you'll take it during the day. And they were like, absolutely. So then we got to shoot with a nice camera, great lenses, and all that stuff that would cost at least like a couple grand for nothing.
Yeah.
So
we shot it for
like
$1,000 maybe.
Right on.
Jackal we shot for $5,000. That's it.
Okay.
We did some crowdfunding and pulled some of our money together, but
we also just kind of used our resources. Like I used to work at the lighting grip department, and so it's just like, hey, if you have any extra lights or gear that you're not using over this weekend, can I use that? And they were like, absolutely, because they're all about helping young filmmakers, and then also I've done my duties for them to prove that I am capable, and some of our crew also used to work there, so it's just like there's a lot of trust, so you're saving thousands of dollars right there
just on equipment
and stuff. So
I got you, man. Yeah.
So we were essentially working on both of these films at the same time.
Exciting. And now they're both done, and now we're just going through the festival circuit, already itching to shoot something else.
Yeah.
So
do you have like a bunch of more festivals lined up for both of them, or like I gotta be honest with you, like I've never submitted to a festival or anything. I know the process involves time, paperwork, and money.
It definitely involves money,
because like usually there's like they have like sections here, like your early bird deadline, your regular deadline, your late deadline.
So it just keeps going up in price depending on how late
so
to the deadline you go.
If we do a lot of the early bird ones, which don't cost as much, it also means that they're really not going to accept and then screen it until like possibly a year from now. Like that's how early they are.
Yeah.
So
it's pretty intense. Yeah.
I know with Jackal at Shriekfest, we hit the latest of the late deadline, and the actor Tim Simic, who played Lance,
right,
very good friends with Denise, and so I think we missed the last deadline by like a day or two or something like that. And he just threw her an email being like, "Hey, he's never been in a film that has been at Shriekfest, but he does go to Shriekfest every year, and so he's just like, hey, is it possible for them to, send it your way? Well, we'll still pay the late submission fee and all that stuff." And she said, absolutely. So it was very nice of her because also we got in and it was our world premiere of the film at Shriekfest. What better place to premiere a film than like a horror film festival, especially a top horror film festival like Shriekfest.
Yeah. So we're still waiting on. Well, Aside and Fries is going to be in the Sherman Oaks Film Festival and the Studio City Film Festival, right?
Jackal will be in Studio City.
Okay. Now I'm getting them confused. Jackal's going to be in the Studio City.
You got so many plates, you don't know which one's on which stick. No, it's all good.
What a good problem to have.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, both of those are the same weekend, just like Shriekfest was with this Glendale one, so it'll be a busy weekend. So.
But, we've submitted them both to a couple more film festivals that we'll just wait to hear from and see what happens.
Honestly, Jackal too, like, we missed a lot of, obviously, like, Halloween and scary film festivals other than Shriekfest, so I'm sure Jackal will carry over and probably
next year
start getting to the end of its festival circuit, its run, probably during the time that next year's Shriekfest starts, and we'll be in other horror film festivals.
Mm-hmm. So. Certain movies will run through festivals for, years plural and stuff. Like The Evil Within that screened last year at Shriekfest closed out Saturday. And, I had heard about it, I want to say maybe a little less or more than a year before it screened there just on Twitter from some other film festival, and I was like, that thing looks cool. I hope I get to see that someday. And then I got to see it at Shriekfest, and I want to say even as recently as earlier this year, it was still going through festivals.
Yeah, so. As long as they're accepting it,
So, actually, a lot of festivals will accept things that are 3 years old.
Yeah.
Oh, they won't accept it if it's that old, you're saying?
They will accept it.
Oh, they will? Okay.
I had a short film 3 years ago. I could still submit it to places. But, it's interesting that you just go on this, Binder festival losing all your money with the submission fees. But, hopefully getting some networking contacts as well as just
getting exposure.
Everything. A price of a submission fee is invaluable to what you actually get when it gets in,
Mm-hmm.
So. Yeah,
see it on the big screen. That's the first time we saw Jackal on a giant screen. Fucking amazing.
I was saying, I can only imagine how cool that must feel, yeah.
It's cool and frightening.
Because
hope nothing fucks up.
Yeah.
We're seeing this on.
Yeah.
So.
Because, last year at Shriekfest, there was a short that screened at 2 resolutions at the same time. At first we all thought maybe it was a choice, and then about a minute into the 5 or 6, 7 minute short, it was clear that it wasn't. But it just kept going, and then she made up for it by at the beginning of the next block, she just rescreened that one.
Yeah.
And then there was one this year that was supposed to have subtitles, but it screened without subtitles.
I think I remember her mentioning that at the beginning of our block.
Yeah. Okay. So that's what it was. So in the one previous to that, it was a really interesting film, and it still worked even though most of us didn't understand the language. It was still clear through body language and intent, what was happening. And I don't know, it was almost more interesting not knowing exactly what was going on.
It sounded when I heard people talking that I don't think you need to rescreen it. We understood most of it.
Yeah, we did.
Which is actually really a good compliment to the filmmakers, meaning hey, if we can universally understand something based on visuals and not language, then you've done more than your job.
You've done your part. So.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever seen Quest for Fire?
No.
I just on visuals, it's like an early Ron Perlman. I don't know how early. I guess I don't remember exactly when it came out, but basically, it is a completely dialogueless film about cavemen surviving and the discovery of fire.
Oh wow!
It's a trip. It's a real trip. like you guys should definitely check it out. You know, like if you dig Perlman, if you dig like strictly visual storytelling, well, visual and auditory, but like it's, and like the makeup is next level.
Wow.
It's intense. Yeah, definitely.
Check that out too.